You're always emitting information. Everything physical is always emitting information. If you're animated with life, you're emitting energy and information. So what most people do is they say, I want the new house, the new car, the new relationship, I want a big bank account, I want my private jet, they do all that stuff. And then they visualize that, but when they visualize it, they never get in touch with how it would feel if it happened. In fact, they're hypnotized and conditioned into feeling the emotion when it happens. So they may do a little meditation or a little whatever, and they open their eyes and their senses say it's not there. So what do? They experience more lack, more separation. So when you're feeling lack and separation, you try harder. And now they try matter to matter to try to produce the outcome because they're feeling separate from their future. So then thoughts are the electrical charge in the quantum field, and feelings produce a magnetic charge in the quantum field. And how you think and how you feel broadcasts electromagnetic energy that influences every single atom in your life. The thought sends the signal out, and the feeling draws the experience back to you. So then if the person is living in anger, impatience, resentment, frustration, and they're holding the intention of their future, that's mind and body in opposition. There's no vibrational match between anything in their future, because they're saying, why hasn't it happened? And they're waiting for their healing to begin so that they feel gratitude. They're waiting for their success to feel abundant or empowerment. They're waiting for their new relationship to feel love. Well, that's the old model of reality of cause and effect, Newtonian physics, waiting for something outside to change how we feel inside. And if you're living in that lack, and you consciously or unconsciously know that you're creating your future, you're creating more lack. And if you're reacting to the people and conditions in your life that are all known to you, then your thoughts and feelings are equal to everything that you know. You keep creating the same life. So then, if you have to truly change, then close your eyes, disconnect from the environment, sit your body down, don't get up and do anything. Don't be in the program of the future, the past, and relax into the present moment. And now, teach your body emotionally what that future feels like before it happened. Now why? Well, the stronger the emotion you feel from the future you're creating, the more you're going to pay attention to the pictures in your mind, and you're going to begin to remember your future. And biologically, it's the same as remembering your past. So then you have to stay in the feeling of that future in order for you to be aligned to that destiny. And if you lose the feeling because of traffic or a coworker, and you start feeling another emotion, you just disconnected from the energy of your future. Now you're back to the energy of your past. And if you tell me it's because of that person that caused it, I'm going to say, oh, you're back to the unconscious program of being a victim. You're telling me that you're allowing something or someone outside of you to control how you feel and how you think. And that's a program. So then it takes great consciousness. It takes great work. So when there's a vibrational match between your energy and it's synchronized with some potential in the quantum field, now you no longer have to go anywhere to get it. Because you're connected to the field, you're going to begin to draw events or experience to you. And they're going to come in a way that you cannot predict. Because if you can predict them or anticipate them, they're nothing new. They have to surprise you. That's the unknown, right? And that's the fun part, because the brain learns by mistakes and surprises. Why not a few surprises? And when that event lands in your lap and it comes out of nowhere, you will look back at all the betrayals, all the traumas, all the things that happened in your past, and you will not want to change one thing in your past because it brought you to that moment. And that's the moment the past no longer exists. So people are healing from their past in a lot of ways when they do this work. And the side effect of all of this is they feel so whole, so happy with themselves, they no longer want anything. Like all the things they want, they don't really want the house, they're happy with themselves. Like, I think that's really a good place to start. First thing you have to do is you have to decide, are you going to be defined by a vision of the future, or are you going to live by the memories of the past? Now, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So we could say that most people's entire state of being when they start their day is in the familiar past. Well, if you live in the familiar past, then it makes sense you're going to create the predictable future. Your body is your unconscious mind. And some people would rather cling to the familiar than take a chance in possibility. So for most people then they say, well, I don't really see how my thoughts have anything to do with my destiny. Well, that's because 95% of those thoughts are subconscious programs, right? So you're not even conscious that you think those thoughts. So the first step to change is starting to think about what you've been thinking about and change it. And then when you begin to observe those thoughts, you're no longer the program, you're the consciousness observing
just simply by being an observer of your thoughts.
Right. Once you become aware of that, now the game is on, right? Yes. Because now you're working to become conscious of that and not go unconscious again. And it takes an incredible amount of awareness. Yes. It takes a great amount of consciousness, and you can't have consciousness without energy. So you got to raise your energy in order to get to it. Otherwise, you're going to be consumed. Yes. You're going to return back, right? So if you start becoming familiar, so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never slip by your mind unchecked by you. Now, that is when you really catch yourself, right? And the research shows that you can get better at this. You could actually sense the thought before it comes. Here's the key. If you were able to become familiar with gratitude, become familiar with wholeness, become familiar with abundance, become familiar with freedom, and you're able to generate those chemicals every single day, more than likely, you would be walking around feeling like your future has already happened, and you would no longer be looking for it to happen. When you're connected to the past, you're looking for it, and if you're looking for it, you're separate from it. If you're being it, then there's a complete change in energy, and nobody changes until they change their energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. You would already feel like it has happened. Now, what is the importance of that? Well, you're literally becoming somebody else. So you're leaving your lack, you're leaving your guilt, you're leaving your emptiness behind. You got to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day, independent of the conditions in your outer environment, independent of your body's cravings of those emotions and habituations, and independent from time. And if you can, get ready. Because something weird or unusual, some synchronicity, some coincidence, some opportunity is going to land in your lap, and you didn't have to go and get it. Yes. It came to you. Now you're the vortex of creation. People say to me, why do you meditate every morning? I say, because if I can overcome myself in the morning, the rest of my day is easy. It's easy. True? Because that's what it's about. You master yourself, you master your life. Yes. And so then all the chatter in your head that you listen to all day long, that is called the default mode network in the brain. Our research shows that shuts off. Not just shuts off during the meditation, it stays shut off for the rest of the day. So you just have a clear flow on where you're going, and you trust yourself more. So then when you start practicing creating that brain and heart coherence, you can believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that it's actually, there's physical evidence in your brain to look like it's already happened. And you can begin to understand, you can select a new potential in the quantum field, and every day emotionally embrace that future reality to such a degree that your body begins to believe it's living in that future reality in the present moment. In the act of closing your eyes and just thinking about and rehearsing what you're going to do, your brain doesn't know the difference. And if you get caught up in it, you begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now the brain's no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. You are priming your brain, and if you keep doing it, the hardware will become a software program. You know what that means? You just might start acting like a happy person. Well, there's no surprise there. You install the circuit. Today we do battle. Today, this is it. And you sit through that and you make your way, even though your body's trying to get up and you keep settling it back down. I'm telling you, when you start your day that day, you will be more kind, more loving, less judgmental, more patient, more present, because you're mastering the present moment. That means you're not in the predictable future. You're not in the familiar past. You're mastering time. And so then, if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all of your attention is in the present moment, you've got a lot of energy to do amazing things. Close your eyes. Retreat from your life. Disconnect from your body. Disconnect from your environment. Disconnect from your schedule, and just give yourself an hour or 45 minutes or 20 minutes, because when you invest in yourself, you invest in your future. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities. And when you believe in possibilities, you believe in yourself. That which we are seeking is seeking us. It's not like it matches our efforts. And so then when people have that uncompromising will, come up against themselves and just say, when the body's going, giving everything it has, that's when you say, that's all you got? That's it? That's all you're going to put out to? Well, I'm ready. Wow. And so then when you start overcoming that, the side effect of it is that all of a sudden you're happy for no reason. And you're less seduced in believing that something else, you need something outside of you to make you feel better. All of a sudden you're feeling better every day without anything outside of you.
How the mind works, and I say, consider like a slide projector. And I say, if you turn on the projector and there's no slide, the screen is white light. White light is all possibilities that you can have. But if you stick a slide into the projector, then all of a sudden the image of that slide is now what becomes real. And the difference is the slides are our subconscious mind, where we have programs, which are slides. And our conscious mind is the one that has no slides, and it's like a desktop on a computer. You can create anything you want. But once you open up a program, that's the program that's on the screen. So the important understanding for us right now is to recognize we have been programmed with images that when we put them in front of our mind, they project as manifestations of that image. And I say, so if I change the slide, I change my life. I go, that's exactly what the point is about. First 7 years is download programs, slides, pictures, images. After age 7, we have the freedom to create. But it turns out 95% of our life is coming from the program. Okay, so basically what we're getting down to is simply this. What I'm projecting in my consciousness, I manifest in my reality, and that's quantum physics. But I say, yeah, but it's also biology, because consciousness is what's controlling our genetic activity and our behavior. So quantum physics and new biology are now coming together to give us the same story, that if I change the picture, I change the reality. And it's interesting because I say, well, 70% of the programs, and programming is very critical, in the last trimester of pregnancy through the first 7 years, the function of the nervous system is in lower than consciousness. It's called theta, a vibration called theta, which is imagination. I go, yeah, that's why kids can have a tea party and pour nothing into the cup and drink nothing and talk about how wonderful the tea was. I say that's theta, but theta is hypnosis. And then we put the programs in, and then we find out 70% or more of those programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs. I go, well, if 70% of your programs are negative and negative thinking is equally power to positive thinking, then what do you think the consequence on your life is? And the answer is struggle. And we struggle. Why? Because we're trying to override our own programs. And since most of them are negative, we struggle. And then I go, well, here's the biggest problem for people out there. They should not recognize it as this. The conscious mind is a creative mind connected to our spirituality. I can create any vision I want, heaven on earth, hell on earth. I can create what I want. And I say the subconscious mind is programs autopilot. I say, what was the consequence of not playing the program? You say, you manifest heaven on earth. So I say, then the issue is we're playing programs and we don't see it. Now that is the critical part. It's called subconscious, below consciousness. I say, why should I be playing those programs every day? And here's the answer. So there's a reason. When you're thinking, consciousness is directed to the inside. A thought is not out here in front of me. A thought is inside. So I redirect consciousness. Instead of looking out, I redirect consciousness to look inside for a thought. And I go, but the moment consciousness is not looking out, then who's controlling your life out here? I say, autopilot. That's when the subconscious kicks in. It knows how to talk, it knows how to walk, it knows how to drive the car, it knows the job that you do, because these are habits. And so I say, oh, so the moment you're thinking, the autopilot habit kicks in. I go, yes. I go, how much of the day? 95% of the day is thinking. Conclusion, 95% of the day, you are not creating the life from conscious wishes and desires. You're recreating your program. And if the programs aren't good, then your life is a struggle, but you don't see it. And I go, why? Because consciousness is not watching when subconscious is playing.
We're studying that energy in detail because we see, when we look at people with health conditions, the question is, where is the pattern of that condition in the energy field? Turns out that the pattern of the trauma exists in the energy field that is a frequency that exists more in the three-dimensional world. We could say, like Einstein said, E equals mc squared. Anything that accelerates to the speed of light, that's matter, is going to turn into energy. So the ceiling of this reality is the speed of light. But the quantum is actually what exists beyond the speed of light. That's where things are no longer separate. That's where things are more interconnected. Even time doesn't exist there, or to a lesser degree. So if from a theoretical standpoint, a person can raise their energy to the point they're more connected and less separate, that when they begin to go forward and backwards in time, if that's a construct, time is a construct, they're actually not going anywhere. Because in the quantum field, the past, present, and future all exist in the eternal now. All possibilities exist in the eternal present moment. So when people are truly present and intentional, the act of being present and being intentional can literally change the pattern in that frequency called the quantum, where things begin to become reorganized. And that could have significant changes in a person's biology, because Einstein said that the field is the sole governing agency of the particle, which he didn't say the particle controls the particle, he said the field controls the particle. Change the field, change the pattern in the field, change matter. So energy and its vibration then is, when you have traumas, it's frozen energy, it's frozen patterns that literally need to be reorganized. And the only way that we can do that is getting to a certain level of consciousness, a certain level of the present moment, that actually can begin to change that pattern in the field. And the pattern in the quantum, all the past, present, and future all exist in the now. So we think we're going somewhere to do that. But if you're in the quantum, there's nowhere to go because you're everywhere. There isn't even time, there's even space. If you don't have space, you don't have time, because time is created by a separation in 2 points of consciousness. So if you're in the unified field, that field of energy that's governing everything material, and you're feeling oneness and wholeness, then you're executing greater effects on the nature of reality, because you're at a frequency that can change the pattern. And the pattern changes in the present moment, although it appears like it's in the memory of the past, but it's really in the present. And I think that's how people see very significant changes when they go back to the memory and they resubstitute a new memory, because the substitution in the present moment is exactly what's changing the past, present, and the future simultaneously. And trading certain emotions for more productive emotions, is it possible that not only will there be a change in the way the person's feeling, their well-being, but is there a change in gene expression? And our research shows that in 4 days, people doing that they begin to activate genes that suppress tumor growth and cancer growth. They stimulate genes that activate oxidative stress that help to repair and stop aging. They activate cells that grow new brain cells, the stem cells also that are stimulated from the gene expression that begin to go to damaged tissues and repair them. We see more hormonal changes and more hormonal balance, and that's just in 4 days. So from a theoretical standpoint, genes are like Christmas tree lights. They go on and off all the time, and when they are signaled from something in the environment, that's usually what causes the gene to express itself. And genes make proteins. Proteins are responsible for the structure and function of the body. So is it possible then to signal the gene ahead of the environment? And that's the concern, or the question that we ask, because if you're elevating your emotional state and combining it with a clear intention, your brain and body really don't know the difference between what's going on in your outer world and what's going on in your inner world. And your body, as the unconscious mind, is believing it's living in that environmental situation. And now you're selecting and instructing the gene. Now, it has to be sustained for a period of time. So then a person has to develop a new habit in order to get there. And so in a 1 week period of time, well, we just finished an event in Brighton, just down the road here. I'm in London, down the street from you. And we saw people with very significant changes in everything from Raynaud's syndrome to heart conditions to eye conditions to chronic pain to depression, because they had an opportunity really to begin to examine their unconscious thoughts and notice their automatic behaviors and habits and look at certain emotions that they live by that they didn't even know that they lived by because it felt too much like them. And when they began to make some significant changes, the disease kind of exists in the old personality and they're literally someone else. So we've seen that from just a biological standpoint.